Praise the Lord, everyone. Sean back with another video for you all. I just wanted to come today and talk about why I believe in original sin. Now, original sin essentially is the understanding that because of what Adam and Eve did, that now man inherited sin and the results of that sin for their actions. And I just want to give some scriptures of why I believe this is so. So we'll start here in Genesis 3:17 and 19. And this is after Adam and Eve fell. God was giving his curses to the serpent and then to the woman Eve. And now he's come to the man Adam. So it reads, "And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and dust unto dust thou shalt return." So we see here that it says that the ground was cursed for his sake. So once Adam and Eve sinned, it was like a ripple effect that just, took place in all creation. So it says, even the ground was cursed for his sake. Now the ground didn't sin against, God, but because of sin and how it can touch all things, we see that even the ground was cursed. So in 19, he says that you're going to return into the ground, for dust thou art, and into dust thou shalt return. So now, we've seen a spiritual death take place, and now God is saying that you're also going to die physically. You're going to return from the dust. Man was formed from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostril the breath of life. So now from which he came, he's going to return. So, we see that now for one person's sake, we see other things having to also bear the ramifications of that. If we look at Genesis 8:21, it says, "And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done." So we see here, it says, the reason why I have this verse is because it says, "For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth." So, there are those that subscribe to not believing in original sin. They believe, babies and little kids that, until you, I guess, commit whatever that first act of sin may be, that you're not spiritually dead. You're not born spiritually dead. You don't, you're basically like Adam. You're good all the way up until you commit that, that first act, whenever that may be. But here it says that the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Now, I don't know if some people will consider baby as being inclusive of youth, but I'm just gonna include it in there to say little kids, with babies, even though they don't understand what's going on. The simple fact that in God's perfect world, before the fall, there would be no hunger, no starving, no thirst, nor no anything like that. And with babies, we know babies, even though they don't know, babies and little kids, they can be greedy, they can be selfish. It's all about me, me, me. So I mean, we can, understand that they're babies. They don't know any better. But in a perfect world, that wouldn't be. So in any case, we see that the passage says that man's heart is evil from his youth. We go to Ephesians 2, verses 2 through 3. It says, "Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, where and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others." So we see that Paul here is saying that, him, the people who's writing to, and essentially everybody, it says by nature you start off as what? Children of wrath. So it's almost like default to say this is who you are by nature. So if you're like that by nature, that means you're born into it. So it's not a matter of, once I do something, okay, now I'm considered a child of wrath or a child of disobedience. He's saying just by nature, that's what we all are. So we go to Romans 5 and 12. It says, "Wherefore, as by one man's sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned." Now, what do we just read how by nature at one point we were all considered children of wrath, and he says by nature. So here we see that in Romans 5:12, it's the same author, Paul. He's saying by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin. And so he says death passed upon all men. So because of what Adam did, just like God cursed the ground for Adam's sake, when Adam sinned, death passed to all men, as we just saw. And it says, "For that all have sinned." So now because of what Adam did, and now we're all by nature children of wrath, what are we going to do? Our actions are going to follow our nature. So if we're born spiritually dead, of course we're going to do things in a spiritually dead state. So because of what Adam did, we're all born spiritually dead. So what's going to happen as a result? We're all going to sin. So we're all born into sin, and we're all going to die at some point. Why? Because of sin. So you could have you have babies that unfortunately they end up dying, and dying is a result of sin being in the world. The wages of sin is what? Death. So if you believe that babies, if they can't sin, and yet a baby dies, well, why did they die? Because, well, sin is one of the results. I mean, death is one of the results of sin being in the world. So since sin is in the world, death now has come upon, all people. So if a baby can't sin, and I mean this people can have their own opinions on that. I understand, but this is just what I take from the scriptures. If death is a result of sin, and a baby is born innocent, and yet they have the same curse on them, and the result of that being death, well, you would kind of say, okay, well, the reason people die is because of sin. So, I just wanted to just come with this and just give my reasons why, I believe in original sin and how everybody is born into it. So, okay, guys, pray God got the glory first and foremost out of this. And I pray whoever comes in contact with this will be blessed and edified. Please leave your comments and questions down in the comment section below. I love to converse with you guys. Till next time, I love you all. God bless.